stops here. So I'm going to lie down on my back, and I'm going to stick my roller, it could be pillows, I'm going to stick them under my knees. This allows the hips to relax a little bit more. Allow your arms to lengthen. Feel those shoulder blades making a good connection with the mat. Follow your breath. Don't try to regulate it, just follow it and make any adjustments you need to make to be comfortable. And we're going to begin our joint release. We're going to begin with our jaw and our neck. So begin to gently roll the back of your head from side to side. Now the head connects to the torso through a bunch of different muscles, the front and the back of the neck, connecting the jaw and the back of the head. So you may feel as you rotate some of these muscles, and you may notice that some are more easily flexible than the others, so one side may not want to rotate as far. So don't force it, just listen to your body. As you continue to rotate, see if you can tuck your chin in during the rotation. That will lengthen those muscles in the back of the neck and the side of the neck as you rotate. And now lift that chin up a little bit. Nice full breaths. And then come back to center. And we're going to bring the fingertips onto your shoulders, tucking in the elbows in close to the waist, tucking the shoulder blades in close to the spine. And see if you can press the balls of the shoulders down to the mat, tucking in the chin. And even here, you may notice one side is much more comfortable than the other, or maybe both sides are saying, what are you trying to do? I don't want to open up any more than I am. But take a few breaths here and just feel your collarbones expand on the inhale. Now we're going to take those elbows up towards the ceiling, keeping those shoulder blades flat. And then we're going to take the shoulders right, rotate them up so that those elbows are going towards the top of the mat, and then stretch out the shoulder blades. And then see if you can actually open up your whole arm here. What happens with your elbows? Do they come down to the mat? One my elbows does and one doesn't. So I'm going to bring that arm down a little bit lower. And just breathe here. Keep trying to see if that elbow, if your elbow will lift up a little higher if it's not making the mat, but don't take it up any higher than it wants to go. Just take a few breaths here. And then just Let's straighten my arms out, lift them off the mat, stretch it out, stretch out my fingers, stretch out my toes. Take a long stretch. And then gently bring the arms back down by my sides. Now I want you to bring your arms down onto the mat with your palms facing down. So when you do this, you probably notice that the forearms may or may not land on the mat. So if they don't, just gently invite the forearms to come down onto the mat to the level of the wrist. And then you may notice that your palms kind of cup, they don't flatten out. So just gently slide those fingertips forward and straighten out those palms. Just give a gentle press down into the mat. And then release. And then bring those hands up to the ceiling and rotate the wrists. Rotate them in the opposite direction. And then fling those fingers. And then we're going to cross the arms at the elbows. And have the elbows up towards the ceiling and just take those elbows from side to side. You can bend your knees here if your legs are out straight and they're not on a prop. It might be more comfortable. So we're stretching out the outer edges of the shoulders and in by the pecs. Nice big breaths. And then let's come back to center and we'll rotate those shoulders by making circles with the elbows. And then let's rotate them in the opposite direction. And then just float the arms down, this time with the palms facing up. Press those forearms into the mat, tuck those shoulder blades, and see if you can stretch out those fingertips. Make fan shape with your fingers. Press those forearms down into the mat. And release. Whew. So we're going to do knee to chest pose, and I want you to be very, very gentle with yourself. So I have a strap here. I'm going to show you. If your hips are tight, you may want to take, we're going to bend both knees, and we're going to take the right knee in. I'm going to put this strap right on top of my right shin, so I can keep my elbows on the mat and my arms and shoulders on the mat. And I'm going to gently draw my right knee in. So this is a good way you can really just find your edge here. So if you have tight hips, this may be, you want to do this very gently. For people who've already been doing this for 800 years, you can grab your right knee and just draw it into your chest. And if you'd like, you can lengthen out that left leg, but only if you have a lot of flexibility in your hips. Nice deep breaths here. And then let's just gently invite the knee in and out a few times. Exhale in, inhale out. Exhale in, listening to your hip flexors. Exhale out. Exhale in, inhale out. We're going to lift that foot up to the ceiling. So again, if you have a strap, you can place it around your right toe pad and just very, very gently bend that left knee again and invite that right foot to come straight up, listening to that hamstring. Keep the hips level and just straighten to the best of your ability. Bring that right leg straight up to the ceiling. And that, just let the leg be heavy in the socket. Now remember that pose was standing split. So imagine you're kind of in a position here for that standing split. So tighten up all the muscles on that right leg. Flatten that foot as if it's flattening against the ceiling. Really engage those thigh muscles, those calf muscles, the muscles on your foot. Take a few breaths. And release the breath. Release the muscles. And then again, listening to your hips, you start drawing that right foot in so that the knee is heading towards the armpit. Stay right here. If your hips are tight, if you want to come in a little bit more, you can lengthen out that left leg and grab onto your right arch in half happy baby. Push out through that left heel. If your leg is out straight, your left leg's out straight, and just take a few breaths. Soften that hip. And release the pose. Bring the leg straight back up as high as it'll go. Put your left hand on your left hip and start taking that right leg out a little bit to the side. Just listen to the hip. Listen to the hamstring. And then find your edge. Find as far out as you can open up the groins. It's a wonderful pose to get into the meridians that all flow through that area between the inside of the thigh there, up into the torso, especially the digestive meridians. And then bend the knee slightly and draw that right leg in and lengthen it out. Lengthen out the left leg if it's bent and just feel how that right leg feels. Feel longer, looser. We're going to do the other side now. So you're going to bend both knees. And you're going to draw that left knee in again, being very mindful of where your hips are at. So I'm just going to be very careful here. This is my bad hip. So I'm just going to very gently bring it in. And I could stay here and I'm getting a great stretch. But you can always bring your hands on top of your thigh and lengthen out that right leg. Push out through that right heel to get some stretch in the right hip flexor. And we're going to place the strap, if you're using one, around the left toe pad and start to slowly raise that left leg up. Listening to that hamstring. Bend the right knee, helps you get a little higher. And then we're going to squeeze all those muscles together, pretending we're in the standing split. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze right up into the hips and the buttocks. Feel your butt get tight. And release the muscles. And we're going to draw that left knee in towards the armpit, listening to the hip. Stopping where you start to feel some edge. You can lengthen out your leg here at your edge. If you have more edge, you can grab onto your left arch and draw the knee in more. No right or wrong or better best. Keep breathing. Release the half happy baby. We're going to start taking that left leg out to the left, get into the inner thigh, hand on the right hip to keep it flat on the mat. This leg may go further or less far. And I luckily have a wall, so I can just let my leg rest and feel the stretch in that inner thigh. Bend that left knee, bring that left foot down beside the right leg. And hopefully it's also feeling now a little bit looser and more relaxed. So let's bend the knees again. Take them to either edge of the mat. And we're going to do some windshield wipers. So we're just going to gently take the knees from side to side, lifting the hips slightly off the mat as you draw those knees to whatever edge they want to go. We're going to drop our knees down to the right, and I have all my pillows that I showed you earlier. So I'm just going to put a pillow under my right knee, and then I'm going to put some pillows for my left knees to rest on. This is only if you have tightness in the hips. If your knees go over easily, you don't need the pillows. Sometimes it's good to just use the pillows anyway. It's amazing. Even if you have full range of motion, for some reason, when you rest your leg on a prop, it almost gives you more permission to soften. So if you're not used to using props, you might want to just try a few just to see if it makes any difference in your relaxation in the pose. So just stay here for a minute, allow that right thigh to soften. Left outer hip to release. And then we're going to switch sides. So we're going to windshield a few more times, just windshield the knees a little bit from side to side. And then drop them over to the left. Feel the stretch. Feel the release. So as opposed to yin, when we're doing these hatha poses, we don't stay in them that long, and we're really working more in the muscles than in the tissues, the connective tissues. Slowly, slowly release this pose, come back to center. And we're going to hug both knees in. So again, if you have tight hips, you can use your strap, and then just gently rock the hips from side to side. And we're going to rock over to one side. I'm going to rock over to my right side here. So I'm on my side. I'm going to rest my head on my right upper arm, or you can rest on a pillow, whatever works for you. I'm going to straighten out your legs. Push out through the heels. Make sure the body is at a right angle to the mat. Tuck in that tailbone. We are going to do the leg lifts here. The reason I like to do leg lifts is even though sometimes they're painful when you have bad hips, they really in the long run are great for them. So we're going to lift that, place your left arm out in front, and then begin to lift that left leg up with control, very slowly. If you're really controlling it, you can feel how that outer thigh muscle is going right into the hip is really getting a little workout. So just keep doing these at your own pace. gets to be too much, you can stop. Come to your edge. Don't let your butt roll backwards though. This is another pose I almost chose, big toe pose, where you grab your big toe here, but I said no. We're not going to do that one today. Okay. So then let's come down and we'll do something like we did last. So we're going to come over onto your belly. It's tough when you have all your props around, they're always in the way. Come onto your belly, come onto your forearms. Just pause here for a moment. So we're going to try a fairly strong pose here. So I want you to bend your lower left leg, pressing your front of your thigh into the mat. Now this can, if your hamstrings are tight, you may not want to go up too high, you might get a cramp. So you just want to play around here, press that left hip point into the mat. Just lift and lower a few times, shortening up that hamstring, squeezing that glute, and then drop it down for a moment. Wiggle your leg from side to side. Okay, if that was a good workout for you, just doing that, that's fine. You can continue doing that. If you felt like you could go a little higher, you can draw that left heel right in towards the buttocks. And you will feel your hams season up a little maybe. See if you can bring it in, bring that heel in towards the butt, press that left hip point down into the mat. Press the quad, draw in the heel. Take a few breaths and then release. And then we're going to just let the leg go back and forth a little. All right, we're going to do that one more time. And this time you're going to grab your left ankle. So you're going to take your left arm around and grab the top of your left ankle. If you're back doing step one, just continue doing step one. Grab it, push that knee down towards the base of the mat. Nice deep breaths. You can see how in the standing split, this would be a useful thing to do. All right, so we're gonna do the other leg now, but let's take a little rest. Lift up your legs and do some windshields here on the back side. Drop the legs down, roll over onto your other side so we can do some leg lifts. So again, you can use a pillow under your head or just prop on your forearm. Try to keep your butt from rolling backwards by putting your right hand in front of you, and then we're just going to lift with control. As many as you can do slowly when there's not an actual count. We're just going to do this. Feel how it works into your stomach muscle, your side hip, your glute medius, your big butt muscle here, and in that long outer thigh muscle. Great workout, even if you just do little lifts like this, but if you want to go a little higher, you can. One side, you may be able to go higher than the other. Keep breathing. I don't know if I can reach my toe on this side. And then we're going to come back down onto our bellies. Rest on your forearms. And then just begin to lift that lower right leg up and down a few times, pressing into your quad, pressing into your right hip point, stretching out that quad, strengthening that hamstring. And then drop the foot down and wiggle your hips from side to side a few times. And then we're going to do that again. It's going to lift up that lower leg. Lift a little higher, bringing the heel in closer to the buttocks. Pushing that knee down towards the base of the mat. You may notice one side is a little more flexible or stronger than the other. Then drop the foot down. Wiggle the legs a little bit. So we're going to do our third one. We grab the ankle. Again, you don't have to grab your ankle. You could just keep practicing bringing the lower leg in. So draw that foot in, reach around, grab that ankle. Push that knee down towards the base of the mat. Press the hip point into the mat. And release. And take a few breaths and rest here for a moment. And let's slowly make our way into a seated position. You could come into any comfortable seated position you want. I do have my favorite props around, so I'm going to put pillows underneath both my thighs and come into a butterfly pose. Oh, the snow's really coming down now. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they predicted snow, but here it is. As long as it doesn't melt, land over an inch, I'm good. Take off my socks here. So once you're comfortable, and you could put more pillows here if you want, it helps. And you can also sit on a blanket too, if that helps. So you want to just really allow those legs to relax. And we did just give our thighs a little bit of a workout. So we want to have the legs relax. The spine is going to become long. So inhale, feel each vertebrae lengthening, separating, aligning. And as you do that, you will notice that the thighs will want to get involved. So imagine that there's a long line of energy from the ear to the shoulder to the hip. And then we're going to start to come forward in a forward butterfly fold. So again, you might want to use your strap here. Put it around the outside edges of your feet. With a long spine and with your shoulders quite broad, you're going to come forward from the hips. So just start and just do a little like an inch and then just feel what's happening. What I notice happening, my shoulders want to round because my brain is saying go forward. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is to hinge from the hips. So the shoulders are staying broad. So imagine your shoulders squeezing in towards the spine, the shoulder blades. And you'll feel a nice tug there in the mid back. Soften the legs. Take a deep inhale. And if your hips can hinge forward a little more, come forward a little more. Feel the rib cage stay broad. Soften the legs. So listening to your body, come forward to your edge from the hips. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, hinge. Feel the knees relax as the hips open. One more breath. Very slowly. Bring your arms up. Take your hands behind you. Lengthen out your legs. Lift up your chest. Breathe. You can bend your knees and windshield wiper your knees here if you want to. Whatever feels good, stillness or movement. So come back up to seated, and I'm going to come into half lotus or easy pose, keeping my knees on the props. Push the hips back so that you're sitting up on the forward end of your pelvis. And we're going to do some circles with our torso. So we're going to, I think we used to call this scrape the peanut butter jar. We're just going to make a circle, trying to stretch the side body and the shoulders, listening to your body. I think one of the beauties of doing yoga a lot is you get to notice more and more different, your body's like a toddler, you know, some days it's good, some days it's a lot of work. So we'll go the other direction. Nice deep breaths. And come back to center. Lengthen out the legs now. You want to keep a pillow under them, you can. Sit up tall. Shake out those legs. Let's do some footwork. So push those heels away. Push those toes away. Ooh, push those heels. So just do that, flexing and pointing. Not worrying too much about how deeply you can stretch. Just wake up those ankles and feet. Now we're going to get a little more serious. So when you push the heels away, I want you to spread your toes as much as they'll spread. And then I want you to curl them up and point them forward. And we're going to do that a few more times. Push the heels away, spread the toes, then curl the toes and push the toes away. Last one. Spread as you push the heels away, curl as you push the toes. Shake the feet, and we'll rotate the ankles. We'll do clockwise motions for a few turns. Then we'll do some counterclockwise poses. And then we'll do some brain yoga. We'll do one clockwise, one counterclockwise, and vice versa. And then shake them out. All right, here's where you may want to use your strap again, if you have it. We're going to leave one leg out straight, and then we're going to draw the other foot in. And we're going to place it on top of the opposite thigh. Again, good time for prop or two. And if this is causing some challenge, you can drop the foot down a little lower. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but this pose is called Rock the Baby. We've done it before. So if you have the flexibility in your hip, you can grab your heel with one hand and your knee with the other and just rock that leg in the socket. And then lift it up and down a few times. And then you're just going to give your toes a little love. You can reach them. I told you guys the reason I started doing yoga in my older age is so that I could still paint my own toenails. Okay, and then just rotate your foot a few times. And then let's release that leg that we had up, bring it down beside the other leg, and we'll draw the other leg in. So again, listen to your body. This is my bad hip. I'm going to stop here for a minute, see if it's happy or not. Draw it in. Let me put another pillow under that one. Now, on some days, because this hip is tight, I might just leave it there during the whole Rock the Baby thing, because right now it's feeling like a good enough sensation. But I'm going to live dangerously and lift it up and rock the baby. But you notice I'm not going to my heel here. I'm just going to my toe, not quite so far. And then lift it up and down. Real difference side to side. Drop it down. Massage those toes. This gets into the endpoints of the meridian, so it's really good sometimes to give your toes a little bit of love and then rotate your foot with your hand. Okay, so let's straighten out those legs again. And we're going to bring the hands behind us and do some more windshields. And then we're going to drop those knees to one side and take the hand that's, my knees are to the right, I'm going to lift up my left arm. Just going to lift it up, trying to twist a little bit to the left. Again, I could have props under my knees if I wanted to here. Just going to stay here, feeling the body trying to twist around to the left as much as it wants to. Trying to raise the arm. Just listening to what's going on, releasing the joint, dropping that shoulder blade down behind the back rather than raising it up to soften the arm. And then turning my body to the right, drop my left hand beside my right knee and my right hand, my shoulder distance apart, lift up the heart. Press into those hands. And when you do, press into the palms and fingers, not the wrists. Lift the heart space. Relax the hips. And let's slowly release that pose. Come back to center. Straighten out the legs and notice the sensations on the left side of the body, or the side of the body that you were working. Grab some water if you have it. I don't know what I did with mine. I don't have it here. So we're going to do the other side. So we're going to bend the knees again and windshield wiper. And again, if you don't want to do this pose with your legs, you can just do the arm part. So we're going to take those knees over to the other side. And then lift that other arm up, twisting away from the bent knees. Feel that twist. Soften that shoulder blade down the back. Relax the knees. And then we're going to drop that right hand in front of the left knee. Take the left arm, shoulder distance apart, lift up the heart. The shoulders broad, feel the twist. Relax the thighs. And slowly come back to center. We're going to make our way up to a standing position. Take your time. Well, the snow looks so pretty. All right, mountain pose. Press your feet into the mat, lift up your toes. Rock a little bit from side to side on those toe pads. Press into the heels. Bend and straighten the knees a few times. We're getting closer to our standing split. My computer does this every time. Let's see if I can find myself again here. Okay. Then we're going to tuck the tailbone slightly, broaden through the shoulders, drop the fingers down. Beautiful alignment. Feel the alignment in your body. Take a few breaths here. And we're going to be doing a downward dog. So I'm going to recommend a couple of things. You can do a downward dog by coming down onto the floor with your hands, or you can come to a wall like this, or you can come to a chair or your bed. If you're in the bedroom, you're near your bed. So I'll show you first on the chair. You bring your hands to either side of the chair, arms straight, walk your feet back a comfortable distance, and push your hips back. And really stretch out that upper back. If you were doing it on the wall, you put your hands about waist high. Again, walk the feet back and just stretch out the back. So you can do that a few times. Stretch out the hips, or you can come down onto the mat and push the hips back. So play with your downward dog wherever you can start, maybe on the wall, then maybe you want to try it on the chair, and then maybe you want to go down onto the mat, or you can stay at any place you want in your downward facing dog. So do a few yourself. Feel the stretch see the torso really stretching out here. Keep the shoulders broad. And then let's come back up for a moment and come back into a mountain pose. So we know the warrior poses. Warrior 1, we do a lot. Warrior 2, we do a lot. We don't do a lot of warrior 3. So we're going to do a warrior 3 pose now. I'm going to come to the wall, or you don't need the wall if you don't need it. So let's step the right foot forward. And then place your weight on your right foot. Bend it slightly and place the weight on it and lift up so that you're just on the tippy toe of your left foot. Straighten out your torso. It's going to want to lean a little bit to the right. Straighten out your torso. Micro bend that right knee. See if you can lift that left foot off the mat. If you've got your wall in front of you, you can use your wall. And then see how high you can lift up that left foot. And then come back up. Try it with the other foot. You could do it with the chair too if you wanted the chair back. So we're going to come into mountain, and then we're going to come forward with the left foot. Place your weight on your left foot, micro bend that left knee. Come up onto the toes of the right foot. Feel the weight, the balance pose. You're going to lift up that back leg as high as it wants to go. So that's our warrior 3. So I want you to play around with that. I want you to do the right foot again. We're going to bring the right foot forward. This time, bring your right arms forward. You're going to bend onto that right foot, come up onto the left toe, and lift up. Now, if you're anything like most of us, your left hip's going to want to go out a little bit and raise up. See if you can keep your left hip rotated so it's in line with the right hip. I don't care how high you're going. So, in other words, you're going back straight. See how my hips are, I'm holding on to the wall, it's easy, are level. They're not like going like that. They're level. So just play around a little bit with each leg. Done playing? All right. So we're going to go back to the downward dog, wall, chair, or floor. I don't care where you're doing your downward dog. And we're going to come into your downward dog, not too deep. And then you're going to take your right leg and lift it up. And bring it down. And then your left leg up. And bring it down. So if you started on the wall and it was pretty easy, you can move to the chair maybe or the bed. And if that's good enough, you stay there. But if you're feeling really brave, you can go down onto the mat. Oh, okay. So this is a tape that you could do like at home and pause it and practice each of these levels of stretching out the back leg. But let's take a little break before we come into our final peak pose here. And let's just do a little bit of easy stuff, fun stuff. Stretch those joints. I think I'm just going to set a chair up here where I'm standing and watch the snow all day. So pretty. All right, come back to center. Come back into your mountain pose. Imagine this next pose. We're going to be coming into a standing split, our version of standing split. You could be on the wall, just trying to raise your leg really high in the warrior three and drop, lowering your hands a little bit. You can be on the chair, practicing your steadiness, or you can have your hands on the mat. Maybe we should do one more pose before we try the standing split, just for chuckles and yucks. So we're going to just do a forward fold. So come into your mountain pose. Sweep your arms up. Take your arms wide, bend those knees slightly. Come forward and bring your hands down, wherever they land. And then bend your knees, sweep your arms up and overhead. Bring your hands down through the center. All right, we're going to try it now. So I'm going to try it on the mat. So I'm going to come into my forward fold. Now blocks are also helpful here. I have a block here. Maybe I'll try it on the block. Resting my weight on my left foot and start to lift my right leg up. Not in a rush here. You can feel the strength building in that left leg. Trying to keep the hips level, dropping the head. And very slowly bringing the right leg down. Rolling up. And try my other leg on the chair. Okay, so this time I'm going to bring the weight onto my right leg, bringing my hands down to the chair. Bend that left leg, get this weight on my right leg, hips are level. And release. Come back up to standing. Now, what I'd like you to do, since you're muted, is I wondered if you could all come over and unmute and tell me a little bit about what your experience was, because I can't really see you, so I don't know how it is. So I'd love to hear some comments if anyone would be willing to talk about it, if they needed extra cues or anything.
My big problem, Susan, was the balance. There's no way I could grab my legs. I had to use my hands to hold myself up. You know, when you
Go ahead.
showed us the original one, you know, your leg up in the air, standing on one leg up in the air and holding your leg, I'll never get to that.
Now, please don't say never, because I couldn't do it, and then one day I just did it. So
Really?
yeah. That's how yoga works. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Then one day you just do it. So that's why I say don't force it. Just let it, you know, even if you only got like to here, your mind is, it's like a kid learning how to read. It retains that and it builds on it. So
A lot of weight was on my hands. Is that the way it should be?
probably at first, because your leg isn't strong enough or doesn't have the mental memory yet to do it. Yeah. Anyone else have anything that they noticed?
My legs just don't stretch out.
How about you, Robin? Did you do it perfectly?
Oh, I wouldn't say perfectly.
Yeah.
Do what you can do. And
What, Pat? I didn't hear you.
I said, I'm always glad that you just say, do what you can do, what your body, listen to your body, and yeah.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, some days your body, I mean, I do yoga pretty much every day, and some days my body is like, I've never done it before. And I remember when I first became a yoga teacher, and I thought, well, I have to do this. And I would wake up the next day after forcing my body to do poses that they had
Yeah.
done on Tuesday and they couldn't do on Thursday. And
I
I
heard.
couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
how about you, Judy? How was it?
It was good, and I like the fact that you tell us to get to the edge. And for some reason or other, that makes me more comfortable.
Oh, good. Let me see. Kathleen, you're very quiet today. I'm sure you did it perfectly.
Well, no, I didn't. It's always the balance with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my legs wouldn't go either way.
But that's all right because your brain was doing it, right? Your brain was trying to do it and your legs wouldn't do it, right?
They got stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens. They get stuck.
Yeah. So you just do the tiniest little bit, the tiniest little bit. And
Yep.
how about you, Mary? Were you a ballerina up there?
No, I
Mhm.
wasn't, but my wrists bother me when I'm on the floor.
Oh,
They
Mm.
bother, I've got arthritis so bad, and when I do that, my wrists really bother me. So it's hard for me to balance when I'm
Well-
in that position.
The chair, that's why I love the chair because you can get pretty much there in the chair.
Really?
Yeah, like let me show you. Like if I'm on the chair, I can hold the edges sideways rather than like on my wrist.
Okay.
So I can be like this
Uh-huh.
and practice straightening this leg, practice getting this leg back without
Okay.
putting a lot of pressure on my,
Okay.
great.
That
Oh,
makes sense. That makes sense.
well, I wish I could see you all because I love to watch the students getting into poses, but you know, this format is not very
Mm.
good. But I hope you'll try this practice a little bit this week because it is good for balance and for people who have bad hips like me and Jen. Just a littlest bit every day is very well. I don't expect you to do it every day, but a couple
Yeah.
of times is helpful. All right, let's go down onto our backs and do one more pose before Shavasana.
Okay.
So lying on your back with your knees bent or straight. We're going to do one pose that is just a little bit of an inversion so that we can move our back in the opposite direction after the forward folding that we did. So I want you to bend your knees and bring them in close to your buttocks. And I'm going to offer you an option here if you have tight hips and they're sore. We're going to come into a bridge pose. So bring your arms down by your sides, palms down, tuck your tailbone and lift up your hips into the bridge pose. And if you want, you can stick a block under your tailbone. And if not, you can just come up into the full bridge, press into your feet, and we're going to take 4 breaths here. And then very, very slowly, we're going to unroll from this pose. Hug your knees into your chest. And then lengthen out your legs or keep your knees bent and the heels slightly wider than the knees, and you can come into constructive rest pose. But whatever feels comfortable for you with props. And we're going to come into a brief Shavasana. So take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. Start to soften all the muscles on your scalp and on your face. Relax your jaw. Soften the neck and shoulders. Soften your heart and your lungs. Release your belly, your hips, and your thighs. Relax your knees, your lower legs, your ankles, and your toes. And allow yourself to integrate the benefits of your practice. I'm going to read you a passage from Raina Maria Rilke, my favorite writers. Once the realization is accepted that even between the closest human beings, infinite distances continue, a wonderful living side by side can grow. If they succeed in loving the distance between them, which makes it possible for each to see the whole other against the sky. Start to bring some movement into your fingers and toes, wiggle them, and maybe rotate your wrists and ankles. Gently nod your head from side to side. Lift your arms up overhead and take a long stretch. And then gently make your way over onto one side. And just pause here for a few breaths before we transition back into the world. And then make your way up to seated. Bring your hands to your heart. May all beings be happy and free, and may our thoughts, words, and actions contribute in some small way to the peace and harmony of the planet. Namaste.
Namaste.